Good evening, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for coming to tonight's Southern Door School Board Forum. My name is Dawn Vandervoort, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Door County. Voter service is our #1 priority with the League. The League focuses on involving citizens in government, encouraging qualified people to run for office, helping voters become better informed so that they can vote more intelligently, and the League is a nonpartisan organization. There's a table at the back with League of Women Voters literature. Please consider joining our organization or checking out the table just to learn more. Watch the media for information about our programs and educational opportunities. The League is an organization of men and women, and everyone is always welcome, whether you're a member or a non-member. You can sign up on our list for our email updates of what the League is doing. Events such as these candidate forums and educational forums are supported by donations and volunteers, and we thank everyone for their contributions. The League is a 501c3 organization. Tonight's forum is for the candidates that are vying for Southern Door School Board positions being voted on in the February 18th election. The forum tonight will consist of your written questions and our candidates' responses. The questions are submitted by those who are in attendance and some from people who could not be here but plan to watch our recording. League members have distributed cards in which you can write questions, and if at any time you need another card to write a question or you have a card with a question on it, raise your hand and our volunteers will come around and pick them up from you. Please ask questions. That makes this forum great. Ask questions about things that concern you, your family, and your local government. Questions should address all the candidates. Any question that is posed to just one of the candidates will not be asked. No personal or inappropriate questions are permitted. And our screeners will look through all the questions, and if there are more than one question that comes up to the table that addresses the same issue, they will set aside the extras and combine them into one question that meets that need. Our screeners do their best to pass on to the moderator questions that meet a variety of issues. So hopefully you'll hear your question tonight, but also know that if your question does not get asked tonight, our candidates will receive a list of all the questions that were submitted, so they'll know what issues are important to you and what questions were asked. The League of Women Voters of Door County would like to acknowledge and thank all of our candidates who are running for this important office. Thank you for your time and being here at tonight's forum. We'd like to thank Southern Door Schools for the use of this facility and all the setup help, the local media for publicizing the event tonight, Peter Wyatt for recording, and Laddie Chapman for airing this event. We're now ready to begin tonight's forum. We'll continue until 8:30 p.m. or until we run out of questions, whichever comes first. And then we'll have closing statements from all of our candidates. And at this time, I'd like to introduce you to Jennifer Miller, who will be our moderator for tonight's forum.
How about that? Is that one on? If you can't hear, also raise your hand, and one of the volunteers will let me know to make sure that everybody can hear. Good evening. As John mentioned, this is a forum. It's not a debate. In order that all candidates have equal time to present their positions and fairness for each is observed, league guidelines will be the format for the evening. All candidates have agreed in advance to the following guidelines. Because the league is a nonpartisan organization, this forum is designed to focus on the issues, not personalities. The views expressed are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters of Door County. And our sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement of any candidate in attendance. Candidates will introduce themselves in 2-minute opening statements. They will have an additional 5 minutes to elaborate on any issue during their closing remarks. Candidates will be given 2 minutes to answer each question. Each question will be posed to all of the candidates. However, a candidate may decline to answer a question if they wish. No question will be directed at any one person. The candidates have drawn lots to determine who will speak first. However, the order of speaking will be alternated so that each candidate will have a chance to be the first to respond. Only written questions will be accepted. As Dawn mentioned, League members will be screening the questions to eliminate redundancies and inappropriate questions. The questions are to address issues appropriate to this particular public office. If the screeners do not understand a question, it will not be asked. Questions will be asked as they are written, or in the case where we have some that are very similar, and we try to combine them, or I'll read both of the questions if they're duplicates. League timekeepers will signal when you have 30 seconds remaining in your response, and again when it is time to stop. In fairness to all, and since we have a lot of people here tonight, we ask that the candidates be prepared to stop when you're signaled to do so. No flash cameras, motor-driven cameras, or other visual or sound recording devices are allowed to be used during this forum, other than by press, media, and the forum sponsor. I heard people turning off their phones, and if you haven't done that, please do that. I appreciate that. Candidates do too. The candidates are not allowed to use the audio video from this forum in or for any commercial advertising. The League of Women Voters of Door County owns the copyright to any audio and visual recording created at this event by its contracted recorder. Campaign materials, including biographical information, may be distributed after the forum. I believe Dawn mentioned it's towards the back, and all campaign literature should have the legal disclaimer authorized and paid for by. And candidates are invited to remain after the forum to give the public an opportunity to meet with them personally and visit with them. Did you have something else?
We do. We have some cars that are parked in the fire lane. And if you're parked there, you probably should quickly move because the sheriff's deputies are going to get more
Is that right
something.
up here?
So
First
if that is you,
That would be me. And
just
you.
as a heads up.
The inner circle? Oh dear,
May
you
not be
better go right
anybody.
away then, hurry.
No, I'm sure it's the other events going on tonight.
Because with the game here tonight, they do have law enforcement.
So again, we'll ask questions until 8:30. When
That's
out of
okay.
questions, whichever
It's
comes
just
first,
better to
and
know
then
it
the
now.
candidates will be given times for
At least they didn't announce your
remarks.
license plate at the basketball game.
Oh, Katie's got I am proposing that we start. It's 7:07. We drew lots, and Heidi drew the short straw, and we appreciate that, so I can go left to right. We will do Katie Schnorr if she's not here when we get to her, so she kind of forfeits there, but she'll get her turn to go first. So 2-minute introductory remarks. Ms. Gutchow.
Is this on? Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. Welcome, thank you. My name is Heidi Gutchow, and we have lived in this community since Adam was in 2nd grade. He's now in 8th. So the past 7 years we've been here, and we absolutely love it here. I'm very excited for this opportunity to be able to run and represent the community on the school board. I am a physical therapist and athletic trainer. I do work in Green Bay. I've had a chance in the past to work on several different boards and have some civic experience. I've served on the board of directors for the Cellcom Green Bay Marathon. I've also been an appointed member of the state affiliated credentialing board for athletic trainers. So I do have some civic experience, and I feel that I can bring some of those opportunities and experiences to the board. We are a small business owner in the area as well, so I do have some of that experience that I would love to be able to bring. We love the school district. Our family, is still here. We have a great sense of community. Unfortunately, I feel that some of that sense may be going away, and I feel the role and what I want to bring is to be able to bring that sense of unity back, and be able to provide what the school district needs. This is all about the kids. We have a great educational system here, and I want to be able to make sure that we are still able to provide everything that we need for our students.
Hi, my name is Dustin Miller. I am a 2002 graduate. I was on the school board from 2010 to 2013, with the last 2 years as board president. I grew up on a farm right outside of Brussels near Coburg. I don't have any kids in school. However, I have a little sister that's a junior in school. I have nieces and nephews that also attend this school. And I take a lot of pride in this school. I know my whole family graduated from here, and I guess I just want to see, like the first time I ran, I don't really like where things are going. I think we need to see some small changes in areas, especially when it comes to budgeting, because the budget is the main focus, and the budget is what drives and what really teaches our kids. And if we don't have any money here to teach the kids, then what do we have left? Not too much. So I do have a lot to bring to the table, I feel, and I guess I'm just asking for that chance.
Well, good evening. My name is Pamela Parks. I currently am on the school board, and I'm finishing my first 3-year term, and I am the school board clerk. I have 3 children that attend Southern Door. Their ages 12, 10, and 7. And as part of the school board, I serve on several committees at school: Education Committee, the Wellness Committee that we call Partners in Health, the School Board Scholarship Committee, and Technology. And I also co-chair the Southern Door Schoolyard Garden. The motivation that I have for serving and for wanting to continue to serve on the school board is this: I value the quality of education that we provide here at Southern Door School to our students. I am a Southern Door graduate, and I have always appreciated the education that it provided me and the opportunities that were open to me with the advantage of that education. And I desire that same experience not only for my own children, but for every child in our school district. This election is crucial. We need to have people on our board that are keeping education as the forefront goal of our school board. We need leaders who value education and are motivated to ensure that we have the staff and resources for it and to accomplish it with character amidst the present financial constraints. I got my 30-second warning. And I'd also like the opportunity to continue to celebrate our successes. We have a lot of wonderful opportunities that are going on here, and we're on the forefront of many things here at Southern Door. And I'd love to continue to help in that process, as well as help in the future things that we endeavor in.
Good evening. I'm Katie Schnorr, and as most of you know, I parked in the fire lane this evening. That notwithstanding, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. And I'm a 14-year Southern Door resident. My husband and I moved here 14 years ago, in great part, because of the quality of the school district. We did our research, and we knew that Southern Door was an outstanding place to raise a family. I myself was a teacher for 15 years, most of those years in the Sturgeon Bay district, though I had 1 year of teaching here at Southern Door, which was a great pleasure, and I got to know many of the families and wonderful teachers here during that time. Since then, I've made a career change and am a PR professional, and I feel that I would bring those skills to the office of school board member as a communicator, to be able to advocate on behalf of our school and celebrate our successes, but also as a bridge builder. I think that's something that our board and our community needs, is help in bridging gaps between board members within the community and to really create a unified group on behalf of our students. That being said, my most proud accomplishment is being a mother to 2 daughters, ages 7 and 11, who attend Southern Door and have had a wonderful education here. And I'm here tonight because I want to make sure that that continues for them, for their friends, for their peers, and for this whole community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Kelly Tessel. I'm a 1979 graduate of Southern Door, and I have a testimony that it's a great place to grow up, because I graduated here, but so did my 4 children. We have 1 grandchild and 1 on the way. My husband and I have farmed in this district our entire married life, which will be 33 years this year. And I lived here prior to that with my parents. We moved here when I was 13. The other things that I do here at school, I was on the school board from 1999 to 2008. I've been on the Southern Door Education Foundation since 1995, and I currently serve as the president. I was a 4-H leader for 25 years, and I've been a member of many boards and things related to the farm. I also still do the high school costuming at the high school musical. I've been doing that for over 25 years, and I worked at the 5th grade musical for over 18 years. Currently, my husband and I sold our dairy cows about 10 years ago. We have a beef and crop farm, and I work at an organization called Whitetails Unlimited. It's the national headquarters. It's located in Sturgeon Bay, and I am the liaison between 20 field directors around the United States and the national headquarters, where we plan over 450 fundraising events every year. And I think my fundraising experience, especially at this stage of the game, could come in very handy here at Southern Door. People who know me as being very creative and very positive. And again, I would bring that into the district, hopefully again. I think our morale has gone downhill a little bit in the recent years, and I really think that we need to get back on that positive track and make our school great as it's been in the past and even greater in the future. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mike Tonies, and I do want a heartfelt thank you for coming tonight. A year ago, there was a forum held here, and I think a half dozen people showed up. Things have changed for the better. I think people have gotten tuned in to this school a little bit more because things are changing, and it's a good sign. My wife and I have been in Southern Door for a little over 30 years. Both of our sons graduated from Southern Door in the 1990s. We were tuned into the school more then than we were shortly after they graduated because those were the Jim Flanagan days. Our kids were into sports. They were into a lot of other things. And the education our kids got here was second to none. When Carol, my wife, and I retired in 2005, we wanted to do something special with our newfound freedom from life after work. And somebody, in fact, my daughter-in-law was doing some volunteering up at Gibraltar. And I've always enjoyed education. When I was working for the Department of Natural Resources, I always enjoyed being invited into schools to talk to kids about what we did. So in the last 8 years, we've put in thousands of hours volunteering in the elementary school. And you can't do that and not be changed by the kids and the teachers, the quality of both. I think the adults in this community have, at least some of them, forgotten that. They've lost respect for this school and for the teachers, and I think I would love to be on this board to help change that.
There are two other candidates for school board for Southern Door who could not attend today. Dean Jared and Jerry Paul Frank. Each of them provided a statement. I'll be reading the statements, and they'll also be under the timer, and if I don't finish them, I'll continue with the closing. So the first was submitted by Dean Gerard. I'm sorry I cannot attend this evening as the cold and snowy winter has caused a scheduling conflict with this event. I graduated from University of Wisconsin-Green Bay in 1991 with a major in business administration, emphasis on finance and economics minor. I worked for 13 plus years in the health insurance industry, and I have been a software consultant for the last 8 plus years. I've been introduced to many different business types, sizes, leadership structures, and financial situations. And with this vast experience, I feel I will help generate possible solutions for the financial issues facing the school district. I'm a member of the Southern Door Booster Club. I've been paid and volunteered as a coach for the Southern Door School District and still coach youth basketball. I'm involved with various community organizations and activities, Booster Club, Annual Craft Show, Haunted Mansion at Quietwood South, St. Francis and St. Mary Parish, Brussels Union Gardner Fire Department, Brussels Big Dog Baseball, Coburg Cougars football, and umpiring and refereeing various sports. I see the biggest issues facing our district is decreased state funding while increasing state mandates and the reluctance of the voters to increase the spending limit above what the state has set. Currently, there are two thoughts to solve our district's financial issues. Either we increase the local taxes collected for supporting the school or decrease spending to get within the state and local provided funding. It has been shown through past elections, district voters have declined to support a referendum to increase our local funding, and finding out why voters don't support a referendum is vital to determine what areas the district must focus on to gain support from these voters. Once these reasons are understood, the district can address these concerns and provide better communication to increase the voter base to support the district. So that's a start of the statement submitted by Dean Gerund, and I'll continue that at the closing remarks. We also have a statement from Jerry Paul Frank. I wish I could be here with you tonight. My family bought property in Southern Door in 1965, and I have been a regular visitor since. It didn't take long to fall in love with the area. I've been a permanent resident for 3 years now. I retired from teaching in Boston and also spent 13 years teaching and coaching in West De Pere. I sort of forget that I lived here my second year of teaching and commuted, but eventually moved to Green Bay. I did some long-term subbing at Southern Door High School recently, which rejuvenated my commitment to working with and for young people. I consider myself a voice for the students, and I will work hard to listen to all residents of the county and to devote my time on the board to improve the school and community. I understand budgets have also been in business for 34 years. I will search out and find any unnecessary spending, and I will report it directly back to the public. I will open a website for residents to ask questions, find answers, and to be a direct communication from the boardroom to the community. Finally, as my first order of business on the board, I plan to propose a policy which restricts Mother Nature from causing havoc upon our students and requiring her to keep temperatures above zero and to keep snow at a level that will allow for safe roads for all students and parents. Thank you, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you individually, in small or large groups, and as the best community in Wisconsin. That was a statement from Jerry Paul Frank, who could not be here today. So Mr. Miller will start with the first question, and we'll just go down the row. So the first question from an audience member or submitted in advance: how do you perceive a board member's role in district governance? With that role in mind, what is your highest priority for the district, and what steps would you take to achieve that goal?
The wonderful thing with a school board is you actually have, there's 7 members on this board, and everyone brings something different, and which I think is a positive. Many people look at it as a negative, but I'm not a firm believer in rubber stamping. I believe there should be checks and balances, and when you have 7 people on a school board, you should have checks and balances. The role I always brought when I served the first time was I was the one that always asked the questions. Why are we spending money on this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? I was a firm believer, and I always kept an eye on the budget because that was the main, catalyst, and that's basically what runs and operates our school. If we can't perform within that budget, then we have major issues, and we're not going to be able to educate kids anymore. But I'm a firm believer in, I do want great education at school, but I also don't want reckless spending, and I definitely want accountability. So that's all I have.
Would you be able to repeat the question?
Sure. There's a couple of parts to that. How do you perceive a board member's role in district governance? With that role in mind, what is your highest priority for the district, and what steps would you take to achieve that goal?
Well, there's definitely a lot in that question. Well, the school board is the governing board of the district. We operate as 7 members, and as Dusty mentioned, there's always robust conversation and discussion on every topic that comes before the board. We did work a lot this past year on developing some documents to help with the governance of the board, and they are available to look at on the district website. Guiding principles and things that we agreed to follow so we can have the robust conversation and move forward with goals and the mission that's set before us. I believe the highest priority for the school board is to make sure that we are continuing to provide the highest quality education to our students and making sure that we have the tools in place, including the staff and the resources they need so that they can accomplish that. How the steps to obtaining that that's the question of the hour. We have some financial constraints, and we work as a board with the administrative team to develop ways to live within our means and also how we can increase revenues. And of course, we also welcome the stakeholders' ideas and discussion as part of that process.
I believe that the role of the school board is to set policy and also to listen to stakeholders and make sure that they're being appropriately represented. That includes property holders, taxpayers, and that includes our students. I also think that it's important for the board to be constantly looking to the future, looking down the road to make sure that we're doing everything we can today to ensure that the high quality of a Southern Door education can continue tomorrow, next year, and the year after that. And finally, I think it's important for a board to model the best democratic process that we possibly can to our community. That includes respect, that includes the robust conversation that's been already brought up today, and I think it includes supporting each other in decisions that perhaps we might not all agree on, but presenting that unified front to the public because we know that that's what's best for our school. I believe, like Pamela, that our highest priority here at Southern Door is to preserve the high quality education that we're all about. And it's very challenging right now. We know that we're facing some incredible challenges and a projected budget deficit down the road a couple years of possibly $1 million. That's really a scary number. I'm in great admiration of what this board has done already to weigh choices and to make some very difficult cuts. I think the time is going to come that our community will need to look very closely at what we're willing to invest, both through our volunteering, through donations, and through possible increases in our property tax levels to support our school. That's all.
Could you read it once more, please?
How do you perceive a board member's role in district governance? With that role in mind, what is your highest priority for the district, and what steps would you take to achieve that goal?
Well, I think since the school isn't located within a community, it's a community of itself, so you're going to be a natural leader if you're on this board. As far as just one thing, I don't think there is just one thing that you can focus on. Along the lines of saving money, I would also like to see us focus less on the cuts and more on how we can gain revenue. I think you need to make money in order to spend money. We need to market the school and advertise our strengths as a district. I believe we need to generate income by increasing enrollment. And adding revenue comes down to open enrollment and attracting new residents and students to the district. I strongly believe that in choosing a school, the students and their families are not just looking for the educational opportunities, they're looking for program choices. They honestly trust that they're going to get a solid education anywhere, and that isn't to say that it isn't important. It's just not the only factor in their choice. If you're going to attract people to the district, you need strong extracurricular opportunities. Many times they ask the question, what do you have to offer? Do you have something that my child is interested in? And how much do they have to compete if they want to participate? I think it's important to balance our educational opportunities and our extracurricular activities, and we cannot just have one or the other, that we need both to survive, and I believe that is doable. Thank you.
A little over a year ago, I was stunned by the outcome of the election. I was stunned for a number of reasons. Since then, I've become disenchanted with the way this community seems to be looking at education. We're running for a school board of education, not a school board of taxation. It's education first. And I think anybody that runs for and is voted onto the school board better not have a hidden agenda, better have the kids first in mind. I'm afraid we've lost some of that and we need to get it back. How a community treats its children is a reflection of that community. And I'm not sure that Southern Door is portraying the best image. I think we can do a lot better. I've seen this community do a lot better. As a board member, we may not all agree, but we have to work together for the common good of the education of the kids. We can't be bogged down by agendas. We can't do that. The agenda should be education of kids. The state is no longer going to help Southern Door unless they change the rules down there for financing. This community has pretty much been told it's on its own to support this school. I'm afraid if we don't turn things around and start supporting this school, the administration and the teachers, we're going to lose it. I think we've gotten to the point where the board needs to get that message out to people. Whatever it's going to take to keep this school the excellent school it is, that's the job of the board.
I'm sorry. I'm looking up.
I feel as a board member, my role, there's different layers to the role. I would be there in a supportive role, making sure that everyone has the opportunities and whatever they need from me as a board member. I also feel that you need to have that leadership quality to be on the board, to stand up and to voice your opinion and work with the other members of the board to figure out truly what is best. To me, a lot of that type of thing is common sense, and anyone that knows me knows I'm very much all about common sense and figuring out what is best to do. I feel as a board, we should be all about the education of our kids. We wouldn't have moved to this area if we didn't feel that this was a great educational opportunity. And it's not just the education from a book standpoint, it's to have our kids come out and be good citizens. They need that rounded education and the volunteer opportunities that they have, the different programs. If we lose some of that stuff, we're going to start losing, as a school district. We need to be able to provide those programs for these kids. We do need to live within our budget. We also need to look, in my opinion, in some revenue generation as well. I agree, we cannot rely on the state anymore for money. We are here, we need to figure out what we need to do to support our kids, support our school, live within our means, and really figure out what else we can bring to this school, how we can generate some more money. We need more families, we need more kids, and what are we going to do to promote our sales market and try to make that happen?
Great. The next question, Ms. Parks will start. What would you suggest to boost student achievement and attract and keep the best educators to the district?
Well, to address boosting student achievement, Southern Door does have excellent ratings for that. We had a wonderful report card for all 3 of our schools, and we have very strong scores in reading and math. We need to make sure that that continues, and to do that, you have the best educators that you can have in front of those students. To attract and keep these educators, You need to value them, you need to provide them with the tools they need, and you need to reimburse them for the wage that they deserve. And we have not been able to do that in our district in the last several years. There's been a wage freeze, I believe 3 years for sure, and that is something that we have to address because districts around us are paying teachers better than we are. And if you remove your good teachers from in front of your students, that's a cause for concern.
As a former educator, I know that the greatest predictor of student success, and I know this from research, not just from being in the classroom, is the quality of the classroom teacher. That is what we need to keep our education here strong, and we're at such a high level. And I'm up here tonight because I want to help make sure that we don't lose those teachers, because they are the heart and soul of everything we do. I see some faces out here tonight in the audience, people who have influenced my kids. My daughter was singing a math song that she remembered from several years ago from Mrs. Pierce's class. My other daughter still hugs her kindergarten teacher when she sees her. These are things that can't be monetized, and yet they need to be monetized, because we do know that if teachers are not compensated fairly, they will go elsewhere. It's just like any other business model. We hear all the time, schools need to be run like a business, and I agree. I believe that we do need to look at spending that is unnecessary. We do need to keep very careful tabs on how we're spending our money and our taxpayers' money, but we also need to reward educators for a job well done. And our educators have done a job well done, and they have not been rewarded in several years. To me, that's a crying shame, because this is a global economy. We're going to start losing people, and we already have. In fact, there's been a very high turnover rate in the past few years. It's expensive for our district. It's not good for our children. It's not good for staff morale and staff working together to continually need to train and bring more folks into our system. So I believe that we need to value those educators, and in valuing them financially, that shows them, it shows our whole community that we value education. Thank you.
Thank you. My suggestion to boost achievement would be, if you've listened to the district's report card, we have top-notch achievement. We are there. Keeping us at the top is sometimes a little more difficult than getting to the top. And I think we can keep doing that, keep our achievement high with strong curriculum, which I believe we have, a caring staff, and we also have to show the staff that we care about them. Morale can be a killer and it trickles down to the student. If we don't have a positive, strong morale amongst the staff, it just starts that downward slide. Great facilities. I think we have the best facilities. I would dare to compare our facilities to any other school district in the state of Wisconsin. I think we have one of the best campuses in the state. We have great family support. That also will help to boost and keep achievement high. When kids show up to an event, or you show up to an event, and the community is there to support you, that means the world. I mean, I've worked on the high school musical long enough to know that the best compliment you can give those kids is a full house. When people come out to see the good things that we're doing, it just means the world. It just automatically makes the students and the staff feel good. Again, community involvement. The things that we struggle a little bit with, I think, are the ability to adjust to the political changes, which, is first and foremost is always the funding. Lately, it just seems like we've had a little bit of loss of trust amongst the community, and some negative attention in the press. I think I sometimes just get so disappointed when I see the negativity, when I know how many positive things are going on here, and we just don't get enough recognition for that ever. So, thank you.
The last statistic I heard was that right around 50% of the teachers have left this school in the last couple of years. Some have left because they're at the end of their careers. Others have left for other reasons, and it's the other reasons that bother me. A number of people have reiterated what a wonderful school Southern Door is, Probably sitting in a rural area like this, it's probably much better than most people would imagine it could be, but it is. A couple of years ago, the politicians in Madison decided to demonize public employees, essentially calling them pigs at troughs. Unfortunately, that kind of talk resonated in Southern Door. And I think it's been carried over, and I think it's created some of the problems that we've got right now with trust among community members, teachers leaving this area, people trying to squeeze every ounce they can out of every nickel. Very shortly, you're going to start hearing a knife blade on the bone because there isn't any fat left. We're starting to affect the quality of a rounded education in this community, and we can't just depend on cuts. We need, as a community, to come and support this school. Nobody else is going to do it. It's up to you. It's up to people like me. And it's up to the board to try to turn things around in this community.
I love how high achieving our district is. We are a small rural school in the grand scheme of things, and unfortunately we are being punished because they're telling us we don't have enough kids. You can have very high populated school districts who are very poorly performing, and they are unfortunately being rewarded a little bit more with the state due to some of their funding formulas. I think, as a community, we need to make sure that, again, we realize that, we need to live within our budgets. We need to look at our revenue generation and, and actually just say thank you to our teachers. I feel a lot of times that, the teachers get the brunt of things. They're working as hard as they can. I know when I'm at my job, I'm working the best that I can under some situations and things that may not always be the best in what I want. But it's always very nice to hear that thank you at the end of the day for staying late and helping one of my patients. We have teachers who do that on a regular basis, and what do we need to do to be able to maintain this high standard of teachers that we have? We need to look at making sure that they are happy with what they have here and that we can provide them what they need from a monetary standpoint and just truly support. I don't think it's a bad thing to say thank you once in a while, and I don't think we say it enough. We just need to keep looking at how we can, keep those scores high, because we are having very good kids coming out, and we need to be able to maintain that. If we're just happy with the status quo, other schools are going to excel and move ahead of us, and we always need to be proactive in figuring out how we can keep moving forward.
I will also have to agree with we do have great students here. A lot of times you hear of students going to Harvard. A lot of them are going to the bigger colleges, and a lot of them are getting grants. At the State of the District presentation, our test scores were right up there, if not better than our area schools. So when you're on top, it is hard, to stay on top. As far as keeping teaching staff here, I believe that we need a fair and honest evaluation system. If you have a fair and honest evaluation system, I think there's a lot of gratitude, and your good teachers, it's going to show through on the evaluation system. I understand we did have pay raises or pay freezes in the past, and definitely that is something we need to look into. And I know when I was on the school board, we did see a lot of teachers retired, but you know what? We got a lot of great teachers that came in this district, a lot of fresh ideas, and we're having teachers that have been in this district for under 5 years, and they're already getting recognition and awards because of the great jobs they're doing in the classroom. So, it is tough to see, some teachers retire and go, but also what we have coming in is, fresh ideas and new ideas and just the motivation to really push these kids and to really get the best out of them.
Ms. Schnur will answer the next next question first. Another question, as was the last, that was written by somebody who came in this evening. Do you believe that the transportation study done last year was accurate and comprehensive? Explain.
I know that there was some analysis done on the transportation needs and system here at Southern Door, and that the outcome of that was, the conclusion was that it was a better idea for us to remain with the system that we currently have than to get an outside provider to be providing that transportation. I do know that there was a good deal of analysis of various factors that included how our own staff here at Southern Door is contributing to the maintenance of those buses, and also looking at cost savings of purchasing refurbished buses. I will be completely honest, and I don't know enough about the setup of that particular study to be able to say for sure whether I would accept that as the be-all and end-all of that issue. And if elected to the board, I would certainly continue to keep that at the forefront and continue to look at it. I think that we always need to be re-examining issues as a board. Even if a conclusion's been made, there's nothing wrong with turning that stone over again and looking at it again. And I would certainly be willing to do so.
Thank you. I'm not sure about the details of the study, so I can't comment on the accuracy of it. I did listen to Steve Brettel report on it at the State of the District meeting, and I think it's something that needs to be studied every year. You know, I don't think it's just a pat answer that one study is going to be the answer to the issue. I know contracting out the whole fleet of buses and then possibly facing a failure of that after a year or two would make it impossible for us to replace all of those buses. However, I'm thinking that maybe trying a couple of routes with an outside contractor just to kind of get a feel for it, to see if it would work, would maybe help us to decide whether or not we ever want to face that. But I do know it would be impossible to replace the entire fleet of buses after a 2 or 3 year period if outside contracting did not work out. Thank you.
The answer to that question comes down to trust. Trusting the people that did it, trusting that they did the very best job that they could, and the numbers that they came up with in the conclusion make sense based on what they did. They were asked to do a job and they did it. Unfortunately, there seems to be a growing lack of trust by people in this community, and even some of the board members, about how the administration, how the staff, how the teachers are doing things, especially with regard to finances. These are professionals. Part of their job is to watch over the finances. I'm a firm believer that if that's part of their job, then you trust them until you have a reason not to trust them. And I've not heard any arguments, good arguments, that that trust is misplaced. To keep beating a dead horse, so to speak, in the case of the transportation study, you always look at things from time to time. Things change. Perhaps in a year or two, things will change with regard to transportation, and another study will be called for. But I think it's time to stop beating this dead horse. There was a good study done. The conclusions are what they are, and it's time to go on and trust people in this school and this administration.
With regard to the study, again, whether it was 100% accurate, there is never a research study I've ever seen that's ever been 100% accurate. You have to take the information and figure out what is best for you. If this is the best interest to maintain, is the best interest to move on, the school district and the board, needs to evaluate that and figure out what's best for them. If they determine one route, then, as a community, we do need to support that. And you just have to evaluate it and just understand if it's something that is going to work for you or not.
I also can't really comment on the study because I didn't see the information in black and white. I couldn't form an opinion because, like I said, I didn't see it. I did hear the report on how the district is, saving money by having our own fleet, which I can understand. I know when I was on school board, we kind of dabbled into it a little bit, but that was the big scary thing that nobody wanted to touch or talk about, and that was the white elephant in the room is, if we happen to look out to see what it would cost us, to go with somebody else. So that's all I have.
This topic was discussed in depth, and I do have to say it is a question about trust. And yes, I do trust that the Transportation Committee did an accurate and comprehensive study. The committee that studied this issue was made up of experts, great experts from our own district. They had transit people that had been in charge of large transits, busing in larger cities that have moved into our district, professionals that work on diesels. It was led by Steve Brettel, who is an expert in diesels. It had several of our staff members who are very skilled, and some of them are so skilled they save our district so much money because we can do a lot of our own mechanic work in-house. They determined that we saved, I believe it was about $150,000 a year. I might be off, I'm guessing on that, but it was a good chunk of money every year by keeping it in-house. Now, am I going to question experts? I am not a diesel expert. I am not a busing expert. Yes, I'm going to trust that they did an accurate job. In fact, when they reported back to us, it was it was a very well done effort, and I do give many kudos to Steve Brettel for leading that effort.
The next question, again, written by a member of the audience here today. What do you find of importance with the Door County Civility Agreement, and do you plan to sign the agreement?
I'm not sure if I understand the civility agreement 100%. I mean, I understand, are we talking about the bullying type issues? If we are, I'm against bullying, obviously. I think lately there's just been some pretty nasty things happening in our area. I'm gonna also tell you that this is nothing new. When my husband and I were one of the original petitioners for the last building project here at Southern Door, we received a phone call the night before the election. I wasn't on the board at the time, this was prior to that. And we were told that this person hoped that one of our children would drown in a pool. And the ironic thing was, with the improvement of technology, we had gotten caller ID the day before. So I understood, who this person was. And we decided not to, go after charging this person, although I'm from a family of law enforcement people and they were over the roof when I told them about it. But what we did was, we let that person know that we knew who they were and decided that through positive action and, just going out there and campaigning for something that we truly believed in. Obviously, we don't have a pool here, but we did ask the district what they would support, and I think that's important whenever you can get that community involvement, and you just stay on that positive track. It's not easy, and like I said, with this day and age and with technology the way it is, and people can pretend to be anonymous out there, I really do hope they find the person who harassed Ms. Fitzgerald White, but just know that it's something you deal with. When you put yourself out there, you're gonna deal with this at times, and you just have to persevere. If it's something you believe in, and you believe it's the right thing, you know, you just have to stick with it. And if that's what it means by civility, being good to each other and just working through something in a positive manner, then I'm all for that.
My wife and I attended the school board meeting when the civility project was discussed, and we both went home that night and online signed it. I can't think of a more important time in probably the history of this community where civility should top everything else that's going on here. I've used the term thugs, malcontents, and bullies in answering questions from the press about what I think is wrong in this community. I think too many people for too long have been terrorized because of what they believe, because somebody didn't agree with them. The Civility Project says people disagree. That's part of democracy. But there are humane ways, civil ways of handling those. And sometimes when you just shut up and listen to somebody, you might learn something. And you might find they know more than you thought. That's how we should be operating as a community and as a board.
I think civility is very key, not only in our community, but society in general. If you don't have the same opinion as someone else, there are some pretty strong feelings. There's not a whole lot of middle ground these days. People are having a hard time actually having a conversation with someone who has a different opinion without being attacked. It is our right to have different opinions. We need to be able, as a community, as a society in general, to have honest, open communication and not be afraid to have that conversation with the person, because they may be able to bring out a point that you didn't think of, and you may be able to do the same for them. You know, you need to have these healthy discussions to keep moving forward, but you know, we need to learn to do that in a civil way. If we can't do that as adults, what examples are we setting for our kids? You know, if anyone read my response in the Pulse, you know, we are not setting very good examples for our kids at this point in time with how we've been acting. I think we need to be able to have the honest conversations, but have it in a civil manner and not be afraid to voice our opinions.
Obviously, I think it's very important to be civil. A lot of times you're going to find, you know, when you sit 7 people down to discuss something, not everyone's going to have the same answer. I noticed with the current school board, I wish they would actually sign it, because I see a lot of stuff that's going on just amongst the board. And I'm sure this isn't the first time it's happened, and unfortunately, I'm sure it's not going to be the last time it's going to happen. But, you know, we have a job to do. You know, people have to grow up. They can't take it personal. Unfortunately, with a lot of board members growing up in the community, going to school, they do take it personal. And we just need to realize, you know, we're all adults. I was never a fan of bullying. I was bullied in school. I was bullied when I was little. And I just, you know, I feel bad that when people have other opinions on something, that other people have to make it a fact to try to bully their way to get their point across. When I was the board president, I know we worked on it when we got the new superintendent, as far as making the board more cohesive and just a better operating board.
I just want to mention, in case people aren't familiar with the Door County Civility Project, it's a fairly new initiative that began last year, and they did come and present at a recent school board meeting about the project and presented the information to school board members as well as those in attendance, and asked all of us to consider signing it. You can go and look on their website, and there are some school board members that have signed it, and also some people that were in attendance that night. So you can go and check out who is has taken the pledge and consider taking it yourself as well. I signed the pledge probably around summer in 2013. I'd gone to some of the beginning meetings of the group, and full-heartedly believe in their mission because I want to do my part to create an engaged community that values the opinions and the ideas of others and is committed to civil behavior and discourse. Now, it's not a thing that you sign and you perfectly follow. They understand that it's a framework that you try to live up to. No one is perfect. But it definitely, with some of the things that have been going on in our school community lately, I would really encourage people to go to that website and read through the different principles of civility and consider taking the plunge and taking the pledge.
As a former first and second grade teacher, I could probably be rich if I had a quarter for every time I said, use your words. And we need to hold ourselves to that same standard. I am familiar with the Civility Pledge, and because I haven't had a chance to read through all of it, I haven't signed it yet. I like to read things thoroughly before I sign, but I am planning to. I've been very saddened to hear about the bullying going on in our community. And to me, it's remarkable because it's so far out of the mainstream of what we're all about. And I'll give you an example. Dusty Miller is my neighbor, and my husband was gone the other day ice fishing. I got stuck in my driveway. Dusty and his dad came over and dug me out so that I could get to an appointment. I'm willing to bet that if Dusty and I end up on the school board together, we might not see eye to eye about everything. But that's what neighbors do. That's what people in this community do. And I value that about him. I value that about this community, and I hope that together we can live up to the challenge of using our words.
The next question from someone in attendance tonight, and I'm reading what's on the card, and I have all of the questions up to this point. I've read what's on the card, and I will again for this question. What major issue besides the budget do you feel needs to be addressed in this district, i.e. community, morale?
I think this community needs to understand the gem they've got in this school and the personnel that they've got working with their kids day in and day out. And rather than trying to make them feel inadequate, rather than making them feel like they're not worth the money they're being paid to be professionals and teach your children, I would like this community to just say a collective thank you for what you're doing. Yes, it's true, we've gotten some very good young teachers in this school, but the mentors are all leaving. Having the experience to teach the new teachers is just as important as getting fresh ideas in the school. I think one of the things that caused Carol and I to be so sad about this school, after all the time we've spent volunteering the last 8 years, is the disrespect I think that people have for the staff here. And that goes all the way from the janitors up to our new superintendent, Mrs. Vickman, a native of Southern Door, somebody who went to this school and graduated, went and got educated, got experience in a bigger school district, and brought all of that back here to make this a better place. And some of the hidden agendas among some of the members in this community is, we got to get rid of her because she just doesn't understand the school district. Come on, people. Appreciate what you've got and show that appreciation more than you have.
As a board, we really do need to address the community and morale. You know, Southern Door, you know, your school is this community. You know, we're not in the center of downtown Green Bay. I mean, we are Southern Door, each and every one of us in this room and everyone out there. we're Southern Door. We have a lot of pride in that. I feel some of that pride is slipping away for multiple reasons. You know, I don't think we celebrate our successes enough because right now everything's been so focused on all the negatives and, you know, what do we got to do here? What do we got to do here? You know, we need to start being proactive. We need to start, you know, shouting out, you know, this is who we are. This is why you want to come here. And, you know, we need to start, you know, making people understand, you know, I would love to see, you know, this many people, double this many people, you know, at each and every board meeting to really get a sense on what's going on and to learn that. You know, I see a lot of people that, and know a lot of people that never go to a board meeting. You know, they'll read things, but, you know, get involved. I think if we can get more of our community involved to really understand, you know, what this district and what this community is about, you know, we'll start bridging some of those gaps. Whether it's, you know, learning about the budget, whether it's learning about programs and what we can do for our kids, how we can help. You know, that's one of the biggest things. You know, we want to maintain, you know, that Eagle pride. You know, we've only been here 7 years, and I can tell you right now, you know, Adam beans with that.
I would also have to actually say the morale. I know the morale starts inside the school and it works its way out into the community. When I have staff members coming to me saying that, you know, the morale's slipping, and teachers that have been here for 30, 35 years, bus drivers that have been here, well, hopefully not 35 years because that'd make them pretty old driving bus, but, you know, some that have been here for a long time, they say, you know, the morale is getting bad. Who are they talking to in the community? You know, you can have the naysayers, you know, someone that's concerned about, you know, morale and don't think something's right, but when they talk to the staff member and the staff member says, you know, no, it's great here, you know, whatever, that's going to squash any poor morale right away. So I think that is an issue here, that the morale inside the building is actually starting to leak out into the community. And also evaluation system. I mean, I can't stress enough, we need a robust, fair evaluation system when it comes to, you know, the major issues in the school. And I think if you do have a fair evaluation system, the morale is going to get better. People are going to get recognized for things that they are doing. So thank you.
Could you just repeat the question so I make sure that I answer it?
What major issue besides the budget do you feel needs to be addressed in this district, i.e. community, morale?
Okay, thank you. I think a big thing to tackle for our school board is figuring out what is the work that we want to do? What is the good work that we want to do? We had someone come in to help us with a governing session, and he pointed out that when you're working on the small stuff that really you could be trusting to other people that are paid to do their jobs in the district, you're missing out on all the big stuff that you should be working on. We should be focused on education, achieving, making sure that our kids are going to leave here prepared for the global economy and to fulfill their career goals. And there's such big things that we can be working on, but every time we have to rehash the same issue that's already been covered and voted on, and we can't move on and because we're mired in that, we don't move forward on the bigger picture items. And that's the exciting work. That's going to be the long-lasting work, like Katie was saying, making sure that our school is here and that we're achieving and we're doing great things. So part of that is the school board managing up and trusting that we have great staff here. They're here for a reason. They do a great job. Let's trust them to do it. They are the experts. They're the education experts. And what is the good work that we want to do as a board?
I think the major issue, other than the budget, is just the recognition that this school is, as others have already said, the heart of our community. It truly is. We do not have the Y. We do not have Third Avenue. This is the heart of everything, of our community. This is where people gather. This is where families come. This is where shows happen, music, and all of that is so important and critical to who we are. And we are kidding ourselves if we think that just maintaining our academics is going to keep our community engaged in this school. We really do have to do it all in this world. We have to be maintaining these incredible arts opportunities for kids, not only because we know it helps them learn academics, because it does, but because it's what's really good for kids and for people, and it's what keeps children engaged in school. We need to maintain our strong sports programs because we know that keeps kids engaged and it's good for their bodies and their souls, and again, it helps them learn. And we need to make some choices about those things, yes, but we also have to realize that families have choices too. I recently met a young wife who recently married. She and her husband were looking for property. They looked in Southern Door. They decided not to buy property here because of what's going on in the school system, because they don't know what's coming down the pike at Southern Door. We're getting that reputation in our county, and I don't want to see that reputation continue to slide. We do need to become the destination for other students from other districts to be coming here. We do need to maintain our great arts programs and sports programs so that we can draw those kids and gather that extra revenue. But in order to do that, we need to invest in our school. You can't make money without spending money, as the business adage goes, and I think we need to take that to heart.
Thank you. I agree, the trust is number one to me, making employees feel important and valuing the teaching career. I think that we haven't been doing that lately. The amount of people who want to become teachers has declined. We need to face the fact that these are the people who spend most of the waking hours of the day with our kids. We don't see them other than a few hours in the morning, a few hours at night. These people, the teachers, the coaches, the extracurricular activity directors, are the people who are modeling our kids. And if they're not happy, then our kids aren't going to be happy, and that's just the fact. If money is the issue, then we need to find a way to cut things that don't directly affect education. Efficiency, to me, is key. Teachers need to be fairly compensated for what they do and the extra things that they do. However, I do feel that even in the real world, not just in the school world, you need to do things above sometimes what you're contracted to do. I mean, in my job, if my boss asks me to do something, I'm not going to say it's not in my contract, because he's going to tell me that I'm no longer employed there. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's not something we want to do all the time, but I think especially in tough economic times, it's okay to ask that of people. And I also think a compliment, just, hey, you did a great job, goes a long way with people. I agree with Pamela, we do not need to dwell on some of these issues that have just bogged us down. I think it's essential to have a cohesive board, one who can work together to create workable solutions to benefit all. I haven't heard that enough tonight, where we're focusing on all, not just a small group or a personal agenda. Thank you.
For the next question, we're starting with Ms. Gutchow. I believe you were the first one to answer that, right? Ms.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I went the wrong way.
That's all right.
Next question from
Full moon.
Okay.
the audience. What creative method would you use to educate the Southern Door community about the changes our school faces with state formula funding support and the need for local funding support?
Can you repeat that one more time?
It's written on a card. What creative method would you use to educate the Southern Door community about the changes our school faces with state formula funding support and the need for local funding support?
Well, that's a very multi-layered question. We, as a board, to me, the first and foremost thing is always the grassroots effort. I would need to be out and actually having the conversations with the people, figuring out how we're going to, to market to new people, talking to the community so that they understand, exactly what's happening, what funds can be used for what monies can go here, what the state is telling us. it's getting out there, doing the grassroots efforts, whether it's, holding, a meeting at the diner on Saturday morning, whether it's just going out and talking, during the open houses, whether it's going and talking to people who are out and about during a sporting event, just being out there and being visible and, showing that, I want to be here to educate you. I also need you to educate me. What do you want? What do you feel, this community needs, as a school district? What are your goals? What do you want to see? And really getting that out so that they can understand, okay, we lost another $200,000 from the state. This is why. These are some of my thoughts and ideas. How can you help me? I think we need to work together as a community to figure out some different strategies and how we can, support knowing that, we are going to be continuing losing those state funds.
A method I would create is, I'm a big fan of black and white. I want to see it on paper. I know there was some PowerPoint presentations here that tried explaining the budget formula. It is tricky, it is complex. I've worked with it for 3 years. But what I found what really helps is I like to see the numbers on paper. When I request the information, I like to get the information. And I really think if people had the solid numbers in front of them, whether it be on the school district website, whether, everything is explained with how much money we get per pupil or something, it's going to open up a lot of people's eyes. But, unfortunately, the days of just going out and saying, well, we need more money, a lot of people, they question it and they want to see the numbers, they want to see the hard facts. And I guess that would be my solution is, numbers don't lie. We have a budget, we have to stick to the budget, and, when it's written down on paper, you can't argue that. And if you positively need the money, and people can see where the money is going and what it's used for, and if they value education, they're going to support their school.
Well, I don't know if the person who asked the question knows about the different ways that we have been being creative. We have a number of different outlets to get information to people. We have social media. There's a Facebook page. We definitely could use that. That's a great tool for getting out to the younger generation. We do have a wonderful website, and there's always information on there. Superintendent report is posted on there. There's lots and lots of information that is always available on there. And we also have a newer tool called Blackboard Connect that reaches out to the parents and families through their, they can get phone messages as well as email messages. So that would be another great tool. And presentations as well, although the attendance at presentations does not seem to be so high, which is why we have to think of these other creative ways. Lastly, and if you weren't able to take an opportunity to come to this, if we have one in the future, please do. There's called the School Finance Game. We've hosted it a couple times. And I attended it. We had a session as the board, and I kind of thought, oh, well, all right, we already kind of know this. And I have to tell you, even as a school board member, it's very eye-opening and very helpful for understanding how this incredibly difficult funding mechanism works, and and how the formula works. So I know that we have facilitators, and they will be planning to have some more of these sessions in the future. Please come out to it. It is really a valuable way to just understand that, because it is a very difficult concept, the school funding formula.
So I love to brainstorm, and so the first thing that popped into my mind when I heard that question was, we should make a musical about the school funding formula. Wouldn't that be fun? Because everyone comes to musicals at Southern Door. So let's put that on the docket. Sure. But I know that there have been quite a few methods out there to get messages out to the community. And when the referendum was proposed about a year ago, there was print and there were meetings. And I frankly was surprised that so many people in the community having that information did not support the referendum. But I value learning. And as a board member, I would truly want to connect and have conversations with those people who didn't support it and find out why. Because if we don't understand what our community is thinking, we can't make it better. So possibly, maybe it's that the most creative thing we can do is really listen to each other. And maybe the second most creative thing we can do is, as a board, come together to find something we can all support and all get behind 100% and take it out to the community.
Thank you. I agree with Katie. The first thing that popped into my mind was the Saturday morning cartoon on how a bill becomes a law. That's what I wanted to do. But just, I mean, in all seriousness, the formula is so complicated. It really does take a long time to get to understand the entire formula process. Explaining that to the general population is really a difficult thing. I think just creating an explanation as simplified as possible using the social media. I agree that's a great tool. The district newsletter is another great tool, especially for people who are not on social media, who are not using computer in our area, and I'm sure there are a lot. We find that out in the business I work in. But then sharing actual budget numbers, posting those changes as they come about, because that is a constant back and forth. You don't always have those solid numbers right up front. Things change. And if we could even have a place where people can go and follow along those numbers, I think we'll gain their trust by providing those facts and updates as they take place.
When I was a fish biologist with the Wisconsin DNR, we didn't have social media. We didn't have email. What we had were telephones and meetings. And sometimes you were invited to a meeting and you know it was going to be ugly, but you had to go because that was your job. And the only way to make people understand, or try to make them understand, was to talk with them face to face. Listen to them, have them listen to you. We don't do that anymore. I don't trust social media because I think it's turned into a weapon, and we've seen that in recent months in this district. I don't even trust emails anymore. I don't trust computers anymore. What I trust is getting out there with the public. I've been told that the last time around, about a third of, or the next time around for referendum, a third will support it, a third will never support it, and a third will be on the fence. My creative suggestion would be for influential people on the board or in this community and this school district, go meet with that 1/3 that will never, ever, or people don't think would ever pass a referendum, and talk with them and find out. Sit down with them face to face, just don't do it in a bar. Those never turn out well. We just need to talk to each other. And we need to talk to those that seem to be the most intransigent. I think we can do this. I think we can do it if we start talking to each other. We have to find a way to get people to show up at board meetings and at committee meetings especially. I think they'd have their eyes watered by what may take place or not be taking place. People need contact with each other again.
I think this is going to be our last question, and then all of the candidates will have an opportunity to give a closing statement or a song and dance. So the last question, if an economical way can be found, for instance, through grants or student volunteers, would you support recording school board meetings to be listened to or seen online by those unable to attend?
I actually would support that. I think it's a great way for people to stay in touch. I know, I want to say on the cable station in Sturgeon Bay, they run it in the community. There's, a lot of people, they either can't make it on the Monday night, or they forget about it, or in winter they get snowed in. And I honestly think it would be a great thing, because there's a lot of things that go on at school board meetings. that you don't get from the Advocate, or you don't get from the paper, or, that's not talked about, or anything like that. But no, I am totally for, getting it out there, because, I would probably find it a little less intimidating, because when you have a room full of people at those school board meetings, it can get a little intimidating than, a smaller group. Granted, more people are going to be seeing it, but I don't know. I definitely like the idea.
I do support this idea. In fact, we were looking into doing this past year, the school board did, but because of financial constraints, we decided that it wouldn't be prudent to move forward with that. Writing a grant sounds like a great idea. We'd have to see if that would fit into the qualifications for the different granting agencies in the area, but that's definitely something we could explore. And student volunteers, we have talked about that as well. I believe that Sturgeon Bay may use that, but they also are able to use their community access channel, and they have cameras and resources and the right software, things like that. But definitely, this is something that we could definitely look into and that I would support.
I would absolutely support that for the reasons already stated here tonight. I think the school board needs to be accountable to stakeholders. We need to be accountable to ourselves, and we all know that when we're on camera or in front of an audience, our best selves come out. And I think everything that we can do to hold ourselves more accountable and to spread the messages amongst the community who might not be able to make it to meetings is a positive thing.
Thank you. I guess I'm kind of on the fence. I'm a little bit pro and I'm a little bit con on that whole issue. And I'll tell you why. My parents live in Sturgeon Bay, and they have the Sturgeon Bay School Board and the city council meetings there. It sometimes kind of turns into a soap opera for them to sit and watch all of it. They talk more about the interaction and not so much about the topic. So if we could strictly stick to the topics, and it would be a great way to educate people about what is going on here and let them follow along. Like you said, there's times where they just can't get out and attend a meeting. However, I'm also in support of the things that Tony was talking about as far as the soft skills go, the interaction with people, allowing them to get in there and really support you with their voice and not just with an email and so on. So I can see pros, but I can also see cons to the whole situation. If it was economically supported, maybe I'd have a little bit more on the pro side, but I'm not going to spend money on that if there's other things that we need.
Anything to get the message out directly to people is a good idea. I don't know if that would be a good idea for Southern Door. I guess I'd like to know whether or not it's been tried elsewhere and whether or not it has met with success before we jump into something like that. But whatever helps. But Mr. Miller said sometimes an audience at a school board meeting can be intimidating. Sometimes the audience listening to what's going on among the school board members can be just as intimidating. I just as soon have people there face to face to talk, to listen, and to know, rather than getting information filtered through somebody who might have an agenda that has nothing to do with educating kids in this community.
I do agree. I think this is a good idea, but again, there are pros and cons that are weighted to everything. We need to make sure that this is a fiscally responsible thing that we can do. But we always hear, from the community that we want the board to be transparent, and this is a perfect way to allow some of that transparency. That if you are stuck at work and you can't get to the meeting, you can go on and see what goes on at the meetings. I would be afraid though that it would maybe stop some people from coming because they're just going to watch it later. I don't feel like going tonight. This show's on or this game's on, and I'll watch it later. That I would be afraid for that, because again, I think that grassroots, that face to face, a lot of things and bridging a lot of those gaps, would possibly be at risk. But I do like the idea that people would be able to, if they cannot attend the meetings, to be able to see that.
Okay, a few announcements before the closing statements. There is a table with League of Women Voters of Door County information towards the back in the center. Please consider learning about the organization. Please consider joining. We hope this evening has been helpful to you as a voter. Trust that you're better informed to vote intelligently. Don't forget to vote on Tuesday, February 18th in the primary election, so next week. Take a friend to vote. Older folks or who might not be able to get out, or young people who've never been voted before or not in the habit yet, so think about those things too. Your vote does count. We have 8 candidates for 3 seats. Also, please stay afterwards and consider visiting with the candidates. So the closing statements, we're going to start with Ms. Parks, I believe.
Great. I just want to again say that I value the quality of education that we provide our students here at Southern Door. And this election is crucial to keeping education as the forefront goal of our school board. We need leaders on our board who value education and are motivated to ensure that our staff and students have the resources that they need. We do a lot of things right here at Southern Door, and there are a few things I didn't get to highlight. I'd like to do that right now. We're ahead of the curve here at Southern Door in implementing curriculum standards. By piloting the new teacher effectiveness model, we're ahead on that as well. We've been updating our technology so that all grade levels will be ready for the new Smarter Balance testing tool that the state will be using to measure our students' learning, all students. And we've been securing grants, really great grants. It's just a wonderful blessing to our district, such as the federal PEP grant that's going to revitalize our physical education curriculum and teach lifelong health strategies to our kids. We also have great staff here. We have an elementary teacher recognized in the state as Teacher of the Year. We have a bus driver who was just recognized last week by a state organization for his work in literacy for the Books on the Bus program. We have a high school agriculture teacher who was recognized in the state as well. And that's just a short sample of wonderful examples of our staff. We have great state report cards, and we're leading the other schools in our area. It's just a brief commercial and the highlights of a very impressive list of the things that are happening at Southern Door. And as was mentioned before, sometimes those things don't always get the focus, and they should. And all those things happen because we have a skilled staff and administration working with our amazing kids. I would like to continue to celebrate our successes and focus on this list of good work, as well as move on to what we can do in the future with Southern Door to meet and exceed the education expectations here. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say what an incredible privilege it's been to be up here with these 6 remarkable people. I truly value that and feel very fortunate to be here tonight to have this open dialogue. And thank you all for being here as well. I'm a learner, and I learned a lot tonight about my fellow candidates, about some of the different issues, about how people feel about things. And I would continue to be a learner if you elect me as a school board representative. I would continue to be in constant dialogue with our stakeholders to find out what they want, what they need, all the while keeping the interests of our children at the top. That's what we're here for. That's what we value. My 2 daughters, their friends, and all of the children who have graduated and will graduate are getting an incredible education, and it's time for me and for us to repay that debt by providing a service to this community and being on the board. I'll just reiterate that I really believe that Southern Door is the heart of this community, and in order to keep the body strong, we know we need to keep the heart strong. And I truly believe that we as a community can rise to the challenge of finding a way to support this school district to be able to continue its excellent tradition of academics, the arts, music, and sports, and be the great center of the community that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, after tonight, I'm not afraid anymore, as much as I was probably coming in, as to where the future is going here. It sounds like we're headed in the right direction. Whether you vote for me or anybody else on this panel, I think we all have that passion, and we're all looking out for the same goal. We want what's best for our kids. I can, like I said in the beginning, I can give testimony to that. My 4 kids had the best experience here. I want to continue that tradition for the kids in the future. You know, all of my kids have gone on to college. My youngest is finishing up. And, you know, they appreciate the experience that they've had here, not only academically, but through all of the offerings. For a small school, I mean, our kids were in music, FFA, they outside of school were in 4-H. You know, they took advantage of almost everything the school had to offer. And to this day, they sit and talk amongst each other when they're home about, you know, oh, we did this, we did that. You know, they had fun. And I think that's all part of it. Learning is top, you know, priority, but if you're not enjoying it, you know, and you're not having a good experience, then what do you take away when you leave here? Unfortunately, a lot of people don't stay in this community, and, you know, you want them to come back and enjoy it and maybe have their kids and grandkids go to school here. So, again, like I said, I'm a positive person, I'm a creative person. If you choose me to be one of your leaders, I would definitely appreciate that, and I would give you 110%. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming tonight. This is how we get the word out. This is how we get an informed voter, and we need informed voters. Thank you for coming. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the people at this table. I'm elated at what has come out during this last hour and a half. There's a lot of courage among these people up here. I hope that courage translates into the community, because I think there's been a lot of lambs in the community that have been afraid to come forward and stand up and support this school. So if nothing else comes out of this for me, I hope that I've helped transfer that message to you, and you can take it from here. So whatever happens, it's for the good of the kids in this community. Thank you.
I would also like to start by saying thank you to everyone who did take time away from home and families tonight and other events. I know there's a lot of stuff going on tonight. I know all of us up here truly do appreciate it, and appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and to talk to everyone. You know, this is a great community. I mean, we are Southern Door. And I think we have to continue to build on all the positives that we have. We have great programs. We need to continue with that. We need to support everyone, look towards the future. You know, what can we do to make ourselves better? How are we going to go about making ourselves better? And as a board member, I would continually do that. You know, whether it's looking at efficiencies, making sure we're up to date on technology, you know, lean processing, all of those types of things to make sure that we can give our kids the best chance to be successful after they leave this community. And again, giving them enough that they want to maintain, you know, and they'll always be an eagle. You know, can we get them to come back and continue to support our community?
Thank you. Well, I said it before, and, you know, my parents went here, I went here, I have nieces and nephews that went here. You know, I want to see this, I take pride in this school, I want to see this school succeed, you know, 6 generations down the road. Maybe not see the same teachers 6 generations down the road, but I definitely want to see the school, you know, I want to see the school here. You know, but for me, it boils down to budget, and I want to find the balance. You know, we can't educate kids when we don't have any money. That's what it boils down to. You know, I was always one to ask questions. I always am one to ask questions. I believe that there should be accountability on the school board. There should be checks and balances between the school board and administration. I always believe that. That's the point of a school board. When there is no checks and balances, then what's the point of even having a school board? But, you know, I know everyone sitting up here, they have a passion for this district. They have a passion for student learning. But I just, you know, if you vote for me, I will definitely fight to put the kids first and to try and work within our budget means. Thank you.
There are two other candidates, Jerry Paul Frank and Dean Gerand. I read during the opening portion a part of Dean Gerand's statement, and I'll finish it up here during the closing statement. So I'm just where I left off on his written statement that he submitted. While past choices were made with the information available at the time, reflection on some of those choices can help the district discovery which choices meet or exceed expectations and which ones did not achieve the expected results. All available options must be considered by the district, and these options need to be thoroughly researched and listed as not only as savings to the district, but what are the short-term and long-term impacts of implementing those choices. Recent law changes implemented by both Governor Walker and President Obama have provided tools that can be used that were not previously available. And while some of these laws are not well received, their impact could help the financial position of the district. If the district doesn't investigate these options thoroughly, the district will miss out on some potential savings, and that will affect the programs and services the district provides to the students. I invite everyone to look at the financial shortfall from a different perspective. Instead of looking at what cuts need to be made, we need to first determine what is the best case and worst case scenarios where the district can still provide the education our student deserve. We need to look at the district financial expenditures and determine what value our district has on providing these programs and services and the impact they have on the overall experience the students in the district. In these difficult financial times, sound financial decisions need to be made to preserve programs and services the district offers today, along with ensuring those same programs and services can still exist in the future. This district has some of the best teachers in the state, and this district needs to find ways to keep these overperforming teachers before they are lost. I would like to close with this thought. While some say the district should be run as a business, others disagree with that statement. I hope everyone can agree that sound financial decisions need to be made to meet every district member's responsibility to provide the best education and experience for the students of the district with the available resource the district has at its disposal. Thanks for coming to this event, and that is the statement from Dean Gerand. And I thank all of you for coming. This is a much better turnout than last year. We did have more than a half dozen, but it's wonderful to see a full house. I thank you all for coming and writing those questions. That was fantastic. It's an important part of participating in the democratic process. I want to thank all of the candidates for being willing to run for office and serve if elected and coming tonight and sharing your thoughts. And let's give a round of applause for the candidates.